What if they had 19 first pitches? Hello and good morning from Shirley Povich Field here at Cabin John Regional Park as we're set for a little early Sunday action in the Ripken League between the Silver Spring Tacoma Thunderbolts and the Bethesda Big Train. I'm Quentin Corpuel, joined by my broadcast partner Phoebe Winters for the second and final morning game of the Big Train regular season schedule. This one, as opposed to the last one on June 9th, actually going to start at 11 a.m., so closer to brunch hour than breakfast, as poor field conditions will delay this game by an hour. But we're going to play baseball today, and that's what I'm most excited for. Again, two teams, the Tbolts and the Big Train, that are coming off wins. Both have had a flair for the dramatic lately, especially the Tbolts. But Phoebe, the Big Train last night, a big win, 7-3. Andrew Williamson, his fourth homer of the summer, his team leading. There was a lot to like about the victory to push the Big Train over the 500 mark yet again. What stood out to you?
I think mainly what stood out to me was the pitching from both sides, honestly, but seeing the Big Train pitching hold them scoreless for, I think it was like 5 or 6 innings consecutively, and also the starting off with strong offense. They put up a 4 spot in the bottom of the first inning, and that carried them through to the end of the game. They got an early lead. They were able to maintain it. So you just see that offensive strength carrying through from their huge wins that they've had earlier this week, where we saw huge scoring games. It wasn't as large scoring last night, but they still brought in that offense strong to start off, and that carried them through the end of the game. And of course, we've seen from the Big Train all summer long, they have a fighting spirit. They stay with it till the very end. Andrew Williamson with a home run in the bottom of the 8th to bring the lead to 7-3. The offense has just been so strong lately, and to see them carry that through to the very end of the game was just incredible.
Things tend to get a little silly here in the Ripken League, but it was a refreshingly normal game last night for the Big Train, who took down the North Division leading Giants. Their lead over the Big Train has shrunk to 2 games, and their lead over the Crop Dusters has increased thanks to a Tbolts victory over Crop Dusters baseball last night. So a couple of really great games for the Big Train lately, not just on the field, but in the standings as well. And on the bump for the Big Train today, it's going to be a new face making a new start. It's going to be Jake Titus from Kentucky. We saw him earlier this week against Alexandria, where a lot of the new pitchers
made their first appearances.
I haven't had my coffee and donuts yet. A few of the new pitchers made their first appearances, including Sam Mitchell, who started the game last night for the Big Train. What are you looking for Jake in his first start of the summer?
Well, in his very first appearance on Sunday, he came in as a relieving pitcher, got 3 strikeouts, only pitched 2 innings of work. So we got a very short blip of what he can do, but he looked strong out there. I mean, for his very first appearance over the summer, and a lot of these players within the Cal Ripken League didn't play much during the spring, so they're trying to get those reps in during the summer. But he looked strong. He looked confident. I'm excited to see him make his very first start for the summer, get us off to a strong start, put the foot in the door there and get the Big Train off to a good start today.
So it should be another exciting one between two very exciting teams, the Silver Spring Tacoma Thunderbolts and the Bethesda Big Train. We're going to send it down to the field for a national anthem performance. Going to be a theatrical one. I am super excited. So we'll be right back shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network.
We ask those that are able to please stand and remove your hats for the presentation of our national anthem, performed by On Cue Theater on the direction of Molly Hershey. Big train thank you to On Cue Theater. Tonight's umpires are Mr. Larry Cadenhead at first base, Mr. Greg Keewitt at third base, and Mr. Matt Van Pans at home plate. Thank you.
Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network as we're set to kick off again another Sunday morning game here at Shirley Povich Field. A big thank you to On Cue Theater for performing the national anthem this morning, trying to fire up a packed Shirley Povich Field as it was for the last morning game 3 weeks ago.
A lot of fans in attendance here to celebrate Homer's birthday. That's right, Big Train's mascot Homer celebrating his birthday here with the fans at Shirley Povich Field today.
And so the Big Train looking to give Homer a birthday W, as we're going to take a look at the Big Train defense on the bump once again. As we mentioned in the pregame show, it's going to be Jake Titus making his first start of the season, throwing to Cole Constable behind the dish, manning the middle infield. It's going to be Keenan Bowman at short, Jordan Crossan at second, and at the corners it's going to be Landon Franklin at third and Matthew Westley making the start at first. We haven't seen him in a while, as Emilio Gonzalez and Jack Guerrero looking to get off days today. And in the outfield from left to right, it's going to be Jaden Bastion, Andrew Williamson, and Christopher Diaz, who is batting cleanup today for, I believe, the first time this season.
That's right, you mentioned it's been a while since we've seen Matthew Wesley in the starting lineup, but we've seen him make a couple of pinch hitting appearances in the past couple of weeks. Excited to see him back in the starting lineup, taking the position of first base. Normally we see him in that designated hitter position. Tonight, your designated hitter going to be Luke Vaughn, who was behind the dish last night during the Big Train's win over the Gaithersburg Giants.
And so we only saw Titus make one appearance thus far this summer. It was that Sunday game at Alexandria. Pitched a couple of innings, struck out 3, allowing just 1 walk. We'll look to build on that today in the starting role. As the leadoff hitter for the Tbolts, it's going to be the left fielder Quincy Villa. As we're going to take a look at the starting lineup for the Tbolts. Villa leading things off in left, followed by John Dunyan in right and Ryan Quadros in center field, taking place of Jeff Sabater, who currently leads the league in batting average. In the cleanup spot, it's Jonathan McMath, followed by Beck Urofsky, Ethan Warner, Josh Erd, Bryce Curry, and the second baseman Mike Heckman, as the first pitch from Titus to Villa is swung on, and it looked like it got tapped foul. Constable gonna have to walk this one off on the first pitch of the game.
Now, as we mentioned, the game was delayed an hour due to poor field conditions. Some early morning rain made a mess of the field, but your Big Train squad worked hard to prep the field for today's game.
The infield looks worlds better than it did just a few hours ago. especially around the home plate area, which looked like a ski mogul.
I was going to say it was practically soup at home plate.
And so as the count moves to 1-1 on Villa, you can see also the rest of the infield, a little gradient between wet and dry. As the count moves to 1-2. Both corners were also slightly a mess, but thankfully the big train were able to smooth it over. Although some spots of the infield, mainly the middle part, are still a little moist, as Villa will stay alive. So look out for ground balls in the early part of the game in that direction to slow up more than if they were hit to the corners. And as the game progresses along, cleat marks will create bigger divots. So watch out for some funky bounces then, as Titus will get Villa swinging and missing for strike 3. So a good start for the Kentucky Wildcat, as he'll now face the right fielder, John Dunyan.
Now this is the 4th time we've seen these two teams come face to face, and all three have been in favor of the big train. Their first meeting, big train took the victory 12-10. The second, over at Montgomery County Blair High School, was an 8-5 victory, their first road win of the season, and then a 10-9 victory at Shirley Povich Field.
That one's hit high into left field. Under it is Bastion, who's got it for out number 2. So Dunyan's quickly retired. That'll bring up the center fielder, Ryan Quadros. Again, subbing in for Jeff Sabater, who's been one of the top outfielders in the Ripken League so far this summer. Leads the team in hits with 24. Gets on base well over 60% of the time. As this is actually going to be Nick Keene. So a last-minute substitution for the Tbolts. Ryan Quadros initially scheduled to start at center field, but it's going to be Keene as the count moves to 1-1. Now, the last time the Tbolts came to Shirley Povich Field, they also made a last-minute change at the starting pitcher spot, as the 1-1 is popped up foul and out of play down the right field line. Ryan Mariani was scheduled to start that game, but was scratched at the last moment. This time, Silver Spring Tacoma making a last-minute change in the batting order, as it's going to be the future Eastern Michigan baseballer facing a 1-2 count with 2 outs, and he goes down swinging for strike 3. So an efficient top of the first for Titus. The Tbolts go down in order 1-2-3. The big train will be up to hit for the first time this morning when we come back here on Big Train Baseball Network.
So every game at Big Train.
The juice is in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride the boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride the boogie train, ride the boogie train, ride the boogie train till the sun comes up. Meet me in the corner alone. 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 Boogie down, mix up. Boogie down, fix up. Juices in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey baby, I love the way you groove. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey baby, I love the way you boogie down. Hey baby, I love the way you move.
Welcome back to Shirley Povich Field here at Cabin John Regional Park as Jake Titus worked efficiently through the top of the first. The big train stepping up to the plate for the first time tonight. Leading it off is going to be the shortstop Keenan Bowman. We have a little lineup shuffling today, but it's mostly the same players, as Bowman will foul the first pitch off for a strike.
Across from him on the mound, going to be number 55, Rohan Mishra, the left-hand pitcher and rising sophomore at Vassar College. Hails from Washington, D.C.
Here comes the 0-1 to Bowman. Now an outside for ball one.
But as you were saying, a typical 1-2-3 for the big train. We've gotten pretty accustomed to this 1-2-3 in Keenan Bowman, Andrew Williamson, and Luke Vaughn starting things off for the big train since Luke Vaughn made his first appearance on Sunday versus Alexandria.
So the count now 2-1 on Bowman. Our umpires for the night, or excuse me, I guess the late morning, it's going to be Matt Van Perry's at home plate, Larry Cadenhead at first, and Greg Hewitt at third base. As Bowman fouls off the 2-1, that'll even the count. And in the field for the Tbolts, it's going to be Mishra throwing to, as you said, Ethan Warner. It's going to be Bryce Curry at third, Josh Erd at short. That's been the regular left side of the infield for the Tbolts. As the count moves full on Bowman. And on the right side, it's going to be Mike Heckman at second, Jonathan McMath at first. And in the outfield from left to right, Quincy Villa, Nick Keene subbing in for Ryan Quadros, and John Dunyan in right field. As Bowman will take his base. So the leadoff hitter aboard for the big train. That'll bring up the center fielder, Andrew Williamson.
Now batting for the big train, the center fielder, number 29, Andrew Williamson.
So Bowman getting the big train off to a great start this morning, getting first runner onto base. For the big man, Andrew Williamson had a home run over right field last night to bring the score 7-3.
It was his fourth of the summer. He's hit 2 in the last 3 games.
Also marked the 15th for the big train this summer.
The 0-1, a bunt by Williamson, goes foul. So now he'll have to swing away on an 0-2 count. Now the big train have climbed up the ladder offensively and are at the top of the league in many offensive categories entering today. Tied for the league lead in batting average, slowly getting up there on home runs.
I think we actually saw that Andrew Williamson is second in batting average.
As Warner ranges over to the big train dugout to make the catch for out number 1.
Andrew Williamson second in the league in batting average, home runs, as well as base hits. Williamson currently batting at a .414 average. As you said, has 4 home runs and 20 base hits so far this summer.
So that'll bring up the designated hitter Luke Vaughn. Bowman still at first with 1 out. Vaughn has been an early producer in his short time with Bethesda thus far.
Last night started off his evening with a walk, followed that up with a double.
6 for his first 17 at the plate. As he'll take the first pitch from Mishra in there for a strike. That one comes up inside on Vaughn. The count moving even at 1-1. Now you can't really see it, but it is probably the most humid day here at Shirley Povich so far this season. As the count moves to 1-2, Vaughn fouling that one off close to the knob of the bat.
We mentioned the early morning rain that caused an hour delay for this morning game, but that has just brought in some very strong humidity. I think you mentioned, Quentin, 75% humidity.
According to the weather app on your Apple phone, that one's grounded to third. Curry from way downtown, bang! So Bryce Curry makes out number 2. A routine play to retire Vaughn. That'll bring up Chris Diaz, as we said earlier, batting cleanup, a spot he hasn't been in really all season. He's mainly produced in the back half of the Big Train order leading up to today. But the potential first run of the game in scoring position as he lines that one into center field for a base hit. Bowman rounds third. He will score without a throw. And the Big Train strike first here in the bottom of the first, courtesy of Chris Diaz.
Excellent work from Diaz. We didn't see him last night, but we did see him in the starting lineup against the DC Grays. Big Train taking the 3-2 victory over in PG Community College.
So it'll be Jordan Crosland stepping up to the plate with a runner on first and 2 outs. He's been on a tear from the plate as of late. Takes the first pitch inside for a ball. Now I was checking the humidity on the standard Apple weather app. That's at 75%. I went on AccuWeather to check, and it says I needed premium to check the humidity. As Crosland takes that pitch low for a ball.
So I guess we'll just have to take the Apple weather app prediction as truth.
Now, no shade to that one, but my freshman year meteorology professor at the University of Missouri told our entire class to use AccuWeather. So I will stand by the word of Eric Aldridge as Crosland lines that one to short, gloved by Erd, spinning throw on to first. They get Crosland for out number 3. So a sweet spinning throw from Erd gets the Tbolts out of the bottom of the first, but not before the Big Train scratch across the first run of the ball game, courtesy of Chris Diaz. They lead 1-0. We'll be back with the top of the second here on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network as the home train have taken a 1-0 lead, courtesy of an RBI single from Christopher Diaz, bringing home Keenan Bowman from second. So looking to rectify the deficit. It's going to be 4-5-6 for the Tbolts leading off the top of the second, starting with the first baseman, Jonathan McMath, who will ground that one to second, fielded by Crosland on to first, and McMath is retired for out number one.
Now, we did mention the poor field conditions this morning that delayed the game by an hour. We're a little concerned about how the fielding was going to look after they had to try and rectify the field conditions, but Crosland looking clean over at second base.
So that'll bring up the designated hitter, Bethesda, Maryland's own Beck Urofsky, a graduate of Bethesda Chevy Chase High School, playing his college ball at Cornell. He'll take the first pitch from Titus outside for a ball.
A two-way player. The earlier meetings between the Big Train and the Thunderbolts, we saw Beck Urofsky actually on the mound pitching.
As the count moves even at 1-1, he technically leads the Tbolts in batting average at .571, although he's only batted 7 times so far this season. As the count moves to 1-2. As you said, Phoebe, he's done most of the work on the mound, looking to produce at the plate, but he'll have to wait until his next at-bat to do so as he goes down looking for strike 3. And a theatric strike 3 call from Matt Van Perry's at home. Probably taken a little bit from On Cue Theater.
Again, On Cue Theater put on a concert at the Shirley Povich Concourse early this morning before the game, and then sang the national anthem for us.
And so the first pitch to Ethan Warner will be low for a ball. Now, the last time these two teams met here, the Big Train won in walk-off fashion. It was a wild pitch that brought Chris Diaz home from third as the count moves even at 1-1 on Warner. Warner had struggled a good bit of the night catching as he let a pitch from Andrew Powers get by him, allowing Diaz to score the game-winning run. As the count now 1-2.
That's right, that was also the first extra inning game for the Big Train this summer. A huge walk-off win to celebrate manager Sal Colangelo's birthday.
And on Homer's birthday, the Big Train will look for a victory against the Tbolts as well. Here comes the 1-2 from Titus. Just outside for a ball. Here comes the 2-2 pitch. That one's lined into left center field. That'll drop for a base hit. So the Tbolts record their first hit of the game courtesy of Ethan Warner. Bastion unable to get to that in shallow left center field. And that'll bring up the shortstop, Josh Erd, with a runner on first and 2 outs. Big Train leading 1-0 here in the top of the second.
Now, the past couple of games, we've seen the Big Train be the first to strike with mixed results. Last night, put up a 4 spot in the bottom of the 4th, which again carried them through to the end of the game with the victory. Before that, the Olney Boys and Girls Club were the first to strike, but Crop Dusters clawed their way back to eventually win the game 3-2. Titus and fielding squad looking to keep the Tbolts from scoring as long as possible to give them themselves a chance to pad their lead.
So the count 1-1 on Josh Erd, who made the last out of the last half inning. As he gets hit, looked like it might have been in the head, but he looks A-okay as he'll take his base on the HBP, bringing up the third baseman, Bryce Curry. Now Curry's struggled a bit so far this season, batting exactly .200 entering today, but has registered 12 RBIs has made the most plate appearances out of anyone on the Tbolts, as he was the first to reach 60 yesterday against the Crop Dusters, a game in which the Tbolts took 6-5. As Curry looks at the first pitch for strike one. Again, a big help to the Big Train, not only gaining ground on the Giants, who they beat 7-3 last night, but extending their lead over the Crop Dusters, who currently sit in third. The 0-1 from Titus popped up into the left side of the infield. Bowman calls off Franklin, and he's got it for out number 3. So no runs, 1 hit, 2 left on base for the Tbolts. The Big Train remain ahead 1-0. We'll be back for the bottom of the second soon here on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. Bethesda leading 1-0 as we head into the bottom of the second. It's going to be 6, 7, 8 due up for the Big Train, leading off with left fielder Jaden Bastion.
Bastion head.
That one's lined into left field. That'll drop for a base hit and roll all the way to the wall. Bastion flying around first. He'll take second. He'll round second, but will stop there. It's a leadoff double for the Big Train, courtesy of Jaden Bastion.
Just as I was going to say, Bastion had a heck of a night last night. Had a pair of base hits as well as a walk. Starts things off with a double, carrying over his success from last night into this morning.
So that'll bring up the third baseman, Landon Franklin, from the University of Kentucky. Bastion, that last at-bat, infiltrating his home base in left field. As the first pitch gets away from Warner, that'll allow Bastion to take third.
Franklin was absent from the lineup last night as well as earlier this week when the Big Train played at the Olney Boys and Girls Club. Did make an appearance as a pinch hitter versus the Crop Dusters.
So the count 1-0 on Franklin. Bastion waiting on third. He'll pop that one up into shallow right center field as it'll be caught by Dunyan. Bastion will not tag up. And so a productive out there for the Tbolts. Bringing up the catcher, Cole Constable. Again, recently announced his commitment to Quinnipiac University in Hamden, Connecticut, home of the Bobcats. play in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, as do several other players in the Ripken League from Mount St. Mary's to Iona. Speaking of Iona, Carter Groen of the Senators extending his league lead in home runs with a couple yesterday, as the first pitch to Constable is fouled off. So Groen's been on an absolute tear, hit a home run when the Senators were here earlier this week.
That's right, Groen leading the Cal Ripken League with now 7 home runs. Andrew Williamson 3 behind him with 4.
As the count moves to 1-1 on Constable.
It's actually Andrew Williamson, Jack Pokrack, and Kyle Maluski all tied for second in the league for home runs with 4.
Here comes the 1-1. That one outside for ball 2. Now looking at the concourse, spry with a lot of kids. Again, many of whom cannot attend Big Train home games that last well past 10 o'clock p.m. So we're happy to have them here today. As Constable swings and misses for strike 2. I also spot a Tbolt, and it looks like that's number 1, Matthew Kim, strolling along the concourse, looking to get himself some food here from the concession stand here at Shirley Povich Field. As the 2-2 is popped into right field, ranging over is Dunyan, who makes the catch in foul territory. Bastion will tag up, and the Big Train now lead 2-0. A sac fly from Constable, bringing home Bastion. And so that'll bring up the 9-hitter, the first baseman, Matthew Westley.
Now batting the first baseman, number 20.
Now the Big Train and the Tbolts kicking things off this morning for the Cal Ripken League. Throughout the league at 5 p.m., Braves and the DC Grays. At 5:30, it's going to be the Giants and the Crop Dusters. And then at 6:30, it's going to be the Senators and the Aces.
As the first pitch to Wesley is outside for a ball. Now, unless, I got to say, Matthew Kim is like Josh Hart on the New York Knicks, who eats Mike and Ike's before the game, I'm not sure he will play today, considering that he is currently holding a can of Coca-Cola. But Kim playing his college ball at Gettysburg College, which is about a 5-minute drive from the Soldiers National Cemetery, where Abraham Lincoln gave arguably the greatest halftime speech in American history, better known as the Gettysburg Address.
Kim, a Northern Virginia native, hails from McLean, attended Langley High School.
As the count moves to 2-2 on Westley, that one bouncing in the dirt and getting past Warner. Here comes the 2-2 from Mishra. That one grounded to the third, backhanded by Curry. A fire over to first for out number 3. But the Big Train add on to their lead courtesy of a sacrifice fly by Cole Constable, scoring Jaden Bastion from third. They lead 2-0. We'll be back for the top of the third shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network.
juice is in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride the boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride the boogie train, ride the boogie train, ride the boogie train till the sun comes up. Meet me in the corner, no. 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 Boogie down, mix up. Boogie down, fix up.
Welcome back to Shirley Povich Field here at Cabin John Regional Park. The Big Train taking an early 2-0 lead over the Tbolts, as it'll be 9-1-2 due up for Silver Spring Tacoma, with the second baseman Mike Heckman leading things off. He is a Pennsylvanian through and through.
Heckman, a rising sophomore at Shippensburg, hails from Lititz, Pennsylvania, went to Manheim Township High School. While there, he earned 2 All-Lancaster Lebanon League honors.
As the count moves to 1-1 on Heckman.
In 2023, as a freshman, made an immediate impact as the top-of-the-order table setter in his collegiate debut. He led hitters with a .347 average and a .431 on-base percentage. Had 16 multi-hit games and was second in stolen bases with 9. A strong bat coming in at the bottom of the order for the Tbolts.
The count moving to 3-1 on Heckman, as the leadoff hitter Quincy Villa waits on deck, as he struck out to start the game. 1 of 2 in the first inning for Jake Titus. Here comes the 3-1. That one swung on and missed for strike 2. Now also notably absent from the Tbolts lineup is Steve Thomas, who we've seen in each of the previous 3 matchups between the Big Train and the Tbolts. As the full count pitch is upstairs for ball 4. So Heckman not taking the bait on the high heat. He'll take his base, bringing up the left fielder Villa.
Now batting number 2, Quincy Villa.
Now Villa has struggled from the plate this season, hitting just 190 and 58 at-bats. But when he's gotten on base, he's been an absolute terror for pitchers and catchers. He leads the Tbolts in stolen bases with 18 already, and we're not even in July. And as I say that, tomorrow will be July.
That's right, July 1st. Your Big Train gonna hit the road over to Regency Furniture Stadium to take on Southern Maryland Senators.
As Villa will pull back on the bunt. A good decision, as that was outside for a ball. I thought we might, I thought you were going to start promoting that like it was some insane event on a major network. The turn of the calendar, tomorrow in Waldorf, Maryland.
I think it should be on everyone's calendar. It's a big game. Your Big Train taking on the Southern Maryland Senators tomorrow in Waldorf, Maryland.
It will be July, tomorrow. We get like explosive, like those monster truck commercials. I think we can make that happen. Runner takes off as Constable could not cleanly transfer the ball from his glove to his right hand.
It's like it popped right out of his glove there.
So Heckman will swipe second. The count 1-2 on Villa.
I think we need that soundboard Sam Salem, our current PA announcer, was talking about.
As the count moves to 2-2 on Villa. If we created a Big Train radio show off the broadcast, I think we could definitely make that happen. The 2-2 pitch, that one fouled off of Constable into the backstop. So Villa stays alive with the right fielder John Dunyan waiting on deck. The 2-2 to Villa. That one's grounded to first, backhanded by Westerly, flips it over to Titus, who makes it to first in time for the out. So a nice tag team effort there from Westerly and Titus to retire Villa.
Heckman took that opportunity to steal third, so the Tbolts' first run of the game now in scoring position at third, and Mike Heckman.
So Dunyan was retired in his last at-bats. Last half inning made a nice running catch in foul territory over by the Tbolts bullpen. But that allowed Jaden Bastion to score from third, bringing the score to 2-0. As Titus is first offering an off-speed low for ball one. The 1-0 hit high and deep into left center field. Back goes Williamson at the track at the wall. He makes the catch for out number 2. Heckman tags up. He will score without a throw. And the Tbolts are on the board here in the top of the first. The Tbolts on the board here in the top of the third inning.
Big Train's lead now been cut down to 1. Titus looking to protect their now 1-run lead as number 5, the center fielder Nick Keene, takes to the plate.
Now batting number 5, Ryan Kudar.
Now I understand we have the windows open up in the booth for a better visual, but this humidity, it makes no difference whether you're inside the building or outside of it.
And I think Titus and Franklin making sure that Heckman didn't leave early. But Heckman was right on time. So now he'll turn his attention to Keene as the first pitch is in there for a strike. Count moving to 0-2. But as you said, Phoebe, extremely humid. I have a water bottle here that has lost a good bit due to sheer condensation. Now, I don't want to flood the booth here at Shirley Povich Field, so I'll put it back on the counter as there's a great stop by Constable.
It is a sticky, muggy, humid morning here at Shirley Povich Field. That's not deterring our loyal Big Train fans. Shirley Povich Field is filled.
As that one from Titus caught Keene looking for strike 3, but the Tbolts respond with a run of their own in the top of the third. The Big Train will look to add on to that lead in the bottom half of the inning when we come back on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Shirley Povich Field here at Cabin John Regional Park. The Tbolts getting one back in the top of the third inning. They now trail by just one, as it's the top of the order due up for the big train. Keenan Bowman facing Rohan Mishra, whose first offering is low and outside for a ball.
Bowman started off the morning strong with a walk out to first. A base hit from Diaz brought him home for the big train's first run of the morning.
Here comes the 1-0 to Bowman. That one high for ball 2. Bowen, a high pop fly into shallow left center field. Erd's under it, and he's got it for out number 1. So Erd wins the battle with the clouds. Bowman is retired. That'll bring up Andrew Williamson, who popped out into foul territory his last at-bat.
Now batting number 29, Andrew Williamson.
Again, Williamson recorded his 4th home run in the bottom of the 8th last night to bring the big train to a 7-3 victory
As the
over the
first
Giants.
pitch is in there for a strike. Now Williamson's been successful with pitches really all over the zone, but it's that lower half of the plate where he's eating the most, like right there. There's a high fly ball in the right field. It is way out of here. So right on cue, Andrew Williamson, a solo shot in the bottom of the 3rd, his 5th of the summer. The big train take a 3-1 lead.
Talk about deja vu. Williamson last night hit a home run over the right field fence, has just done it again. And with that, we mentioned he was tied for 2nd within the league for home runs. He has now just solidified himself as the 2nd leader in home runs for the Cal Ripken League with 5.
Carter Groen's got a little competition, as Luke Vaughn will step up to the plate. The big train have now scored in each of the first 3 half innings here, as Vaughn will take the first pitch outside for a ball. But Williamson, there's obviously so much to like, but one thing I don't think I've talked about is the swing. Just so effortless. It looks like he's almost going 50% as the count moves to 2-0 on Vaughn.
I think it was on last night's broadcast, you and also our Twitter page echoed the idea that he might not be human. He is just like a machine from the plate. So effortless, so clean.
As the count moves to 2-1 on Vaughn. I gotta say, baseballs have become an invasive species out there in right field, especially from the bat of Andrew Williamson. As the 2-1 is popped into right. Dunyan not having to move a whole lot to make the out. So Vaughn is retired. That'll bring up the right fielder, Chris Diaz.
Again, Diaz's base hit during his first at-bat tonight brought in the big train's first run. Bowman off of 3rd. Again, you can follow Big Train on Twitter at GoBigTrain, where you can see gems like someone actually check if Andrew Williamson is real. Oh my goodness, another home run, 2nd in 24 hours.
But like if you gave a kid a few Red Bulls and told him to start live tweeting for a summer collegiate wood bat baseball team. Diaz lifts this one into right center field, and diving is Dunyan. He can't get there. The ball rolls all the way to the wall, picked up by Keene. Diaz rounding 2nd. He heads for 3rd. The throw to 3rd is not in time.
Christopher Diaz having himself a morning. Started things off with a base hit to bring in the big train's first run. Has now put the potential 4th run on 3rd base with a triple.
The former Tulane product making waves on the base pads already. Dunyan almost his second really nice catch of the morning, but the layout attempt unsuccessful. As with 2 outs and a runner on third, that'll bring up Jordan Crosland, as he'll swing and miss at the first pitch for a strike. The 0-1. That one grounded to short, fielded cleanly by Erd, who fires it over to first for out number 3. But for the third consecutive half inning, the Big Train score a run, this time on a big fly from Andrew Williamson. His second in the last 24 hours, his third in the last 4 games, and his 5th of the summer. We'll be back for the top of the 4th shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. Bethesda taking a 3-1 lead over the Tbolts, as it's going to be 4, 5, 6 due up for the road team. Jonathan McMath leading things off for Silver Spring Tacoma. And that first pitch hits him in the back. So a quick but productive at-bat for McMath, as he'll take his base with Beck Urofsky stepping up to the plate.
That's the second hit by pitch on the Tbolts here this morning. But as you mentioned, Quentin, Andrew Williamson's home run over the right field fence recorded his 5th for the summer, 16th for the Big Train squad, has brought their lead back to 2.
Urofsky fouls the first pitch off. We have a doink. Our first doink of the morning here at Shirley Povich Field.
I hope the crowd mic picked that up.
And we get a confirmation from our executive producer and general manager, Harrison Myers, that the doink was, in fact, picked up by the crowd mic, as the count moves to 0-2 on Urofsky. As a football fan, I always love a good doink off the uprights. Unless it's the team that I support, then it's bad. Other than that, all for it. Here comes the 0-2. Urofsky fouls this one off out of play. The last doink I witnessed in person was at the Senior Bowl. Mobile, Alabama, Will Reichard, the former kicker for the University of Alabama, the school's all-time points leader, had one during the actual Senior Bowl game. So beautiful.
Yurovsky was struck out during his first at-bat this morning.
He grounds that one to third, fielded by Franklin, who bobbles it, gets it over to Crosland in time for the out. But as we said, potentially rocky fielding conditions. That one skipping up just a bit, but enough for Franklin to bobble it. Although a great recovery to get the out at second. And that'll bring up the catcher, Ethan Warner, who registered the first hit and still the only hit of the afternoon for the Tbolts in his last at-bat, a single into shallow left center field. As he'll take the first pitch from Titus inside for a ball.
Now we've seen Landon Franklin bounce around this summer from the position of shortstop and third base, with the addition of Keenan Bowman to the squad, has commanded that third base position.
That one's swung on and missed for a strike.
Been very clean from the field, as you said. Made a very nice recovery on that slight bobble. But as we said in the pregame show, the poor field conditions that delayed the game could make things difficult within the infield.
I said to you before the game, when we were watching the big train, try and figure out how to make the field look a lot better. I said fielding a ball in the dirt might be trying to field a ball off of Plinko board. As the count moves to 3-1 on Warner, the shortstop Josh Erd waiting on deck.
That home plate looking a million times better than it did when we arrived 7:30 this morning. We actually saw Max Martzoff shoveling mud off of home plate.
And that pitch is outside for ball 4. So Warner will take his base. That'll put runners on first and second with one out. As we're going to get a quick mound visit here between Constable and Jake Titus. They'll also be joined by Coach Lopez. And speaking of Coach Lopez, not too far down the line, it will be Coach Lopez Appreciation Night here at Shirley Povich Field on July 6th against the Crop Dusters, along with the Art of Baseball Night. So looking forward to that, as Coach Lopez, just such an easy guy to like.
He's such a positive and warm presence in the Big Train squad. Anytime you see him, you got to give him your heart-to-heart hug. He always follows it up with telling you that you're loved and appreciated, and we're all so lucky to enjoy the day together. And you can hear from the field his big, hearty laugh always brings a smile to everyone's face.
I think his laugh is able to be heard in outside area codes. That is how wide and far it spans. As Erd fouls that one off of Constable, who's taken a couple of shots already. As it's going to be Van Perry's quickly going out to the mound, giving Titus another baseball. Constable walking this one off. But we've seen a handful of times this season Constable have to wear a handful of foul balls.
Takes them like a champ every time.
So the count 0-1 on Erd. Still one out here in the top of the fourth. They'll show bunt, but that pitch will be in there for a strike. So facing a 0-2 count, Erd will likely have to swing away. Here comes the 0-2. That one ground to the third, past the diving glove of Landon Franklin. Urofsky booking it around third. He will score. So an RBI single from Erd makes it 3-2 in favor of the Big Train. That's now 4 consecutive half innings with a run for either team.
The Tbolts continuing to claw back at the early score deficit, bringing the game back within 1 run, and with only 1 out on the board, still have 2 runners on base.
As manager Sal Colangelo will come out to the mound, and it looks like we're going to have a pitching change for the Big Train. Looks like Aaron Saniceros is going to relieve Jake Titus. So the Wildcats late morning is done. We're going to come back after a quick commercial break here on Big Train Baseball Network.
The juice is in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey baby, I love the way you groove. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey baby, I love the way you boogie down. Hey baby, I love the way you move, boogie down. The juice is in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Meet me in the corner alone. 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 Boogie, boogie down, baby. Can you boogie down?
Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. As we have a new pitcher on the bump for the Big Train, it's going to be Aaron Saniceros in relief for Jake Titus with runners on first and second and 1 out. Here in the top of the 4th inning, as the first pitch to Bryce Curry is an off-speed outside for a ball.
Again, the Tbolts once again clawing back to bring this game within 1 run.
The count moves to 2-0 on Curry. Now, I do want to make a quick side comment. We were observing the concourse during that break, and we saw, I don't know where he went, but we saw a gentleman, and not just a Washington Nationals hat, but a Michael Morse, number 38 t-shirt jersey. As Curry fouls that one off, that'll bring the count to 2-1. I'm not sure I've ever seen a Michael Morse Washington Nationals jersey. But I thought it was interesting, especially in the year 2024, where Morse has been out of the league for a long while. As the 2-1 to Curry is inside for ball 3. Waiting on deck is the second baseman, Mike Heckman. Michael Morse, fun fact, the only owner of an imaginary home run in MLB history, which was a grand slam, nonetheless, against the St. Louis Cardinals back in 2013 when he played with the Nationals, as Curry fouls that one off down the left field line. Michael Morse hitting a grand slam against the Cardinals 11 years ago. The ball was initially ruled in play, but upon further review, the umpires ruled that it was a home run. So Morse went back to home, stood at home plate with an imaginary bat, and Bob Carpenter, the great Bob Carpenter for Mid-Atlantic Sports Network, called the imaginary home run like it was actually happening. As Curry will take ball 4. That'll load the bases for the Tbolts with Mike Heckman stepping up to the plate. Again, just 1 out here in the top of the 4th. The Tbolts already cutting the big trade and lead to 1.
Heckman recorded a walk during his previous at-bat. Some similar success from the plate would tie the game at 3.
Heckman taking the first pitch low for a ball. You can see the corner infielders, Westley and Franklin, playing in, anticipating a ground ball, and will try to get the force out at home should a ball be put in play, as the count now 2-0 on Heckman.
Now, the last time we saw Ceniceros on the bump for the big train made the start when the big train took their walk-off win in extra innings over the Tbolts.
That one high and inside on Heckman. The count will move to 3-1 with the leadoff hitter Villa waiting on deck. Here comes the 3-1. That one low and outside for ball 4.
So back-to-back walks for Mike Heckman has tied this game at 3.
That'll allow Warner to score from third. And we've got a tie ball game here at Shirley Povich Field, as we're going to have a mound visit between Ceniceros and Constable. Again, the Big Train have taken the first 3 games in this series, as they're set to visit Montgomery Blair High School 2 more times over the course of the rest of the regular season. They'll be there on July 11th and 14th. Part of 7 road games in the month of July for the Big Train.
Now again, the last time these two teams faced each other here at Shirley Povich Field, the Tbolts put up a 7 spot in the top of the 2nd to take a very early strong lead, but the Big Train continued to chip away to the bottom of the 10th inning. They walked away with the 10-9 victory.
Here comes the 0-1 to Villa. That one in the dirt for a ball. So the count now 1-1, bases loaded. All tied at 3, still in the top of the 4th inning, just 1 out. As Villa grounds that one to short, past the glove of Bowman into left field. So the Tbolts have taken a 4-3 lead here in the top of the fourth. Josh Erd scoring from third.
Now batting number 27, John Dunn.
As that'll bring up the right fielder, John Dunyan.
A very timely ground ball from leadoff hitter Quincy Villa to take the lead for the first time this afternoon for the Tbolts.
As the first pitch to Dunyan is an off-speed upstairs for a ball. Now I have to say, with there being a Curry on the other roster, you heard me earlier knacking the famous Mike Breen when Bryce Curry fielded a ball at third and fired it over to first for an out, but the Tbolts have done exactly what the Warriors did in 2016, coming back from a 3-1 deficit in the Western Conference Finals against the Thunder to advance to the NBA Finals, where they would proceed to lose a 3-1 lead themselves to the Cleveland Cavaliers. I didn't think I would mention the Cleveland Cavaliers now 3 times throughout the course of the season, yet here we are. As the 2-0 pitch to Dunyan is swung on and missed for a strike. The 2-1 to Dunyan. That one fouled into the netting along the backstop. That'll bring the count even at 2-2 with the center fielder Nick Keene waiting on deck.
Again, still only 1 out on the board for the Tbolts, who have bases loaded once again. They've already put up a 3 spot in the top of the fourth to take the lead 4-3. Cenicero looking to shut them down here.
The 2-2 to Dunyan. Another foul ball. Another 2-2 to Dunyan. This one's hit high into left center field. Under it is Williamson. He's got it for out number 2. And all runners will stay on their respective bases. So a good out there for Ceniceros, putting 2 on the board. The center fielder Keene stepping up to the plate.
Now batting number 5, Brian Tbolts.
Keene has been struck out during his previous 2 at-bats.
The first offering to Keene. That one's in there for a strike. The 0-1. That one fouled off. So a good job by Ceniceros to get Keene in a quick 0-2 hole.
Now just a strike away from ending the inning here and holding the Tbolts to just their 3.
The 0-2 pitch. That one high for a ball. Now it's Bryce Curry on third, Mike Heckman at second, and Quincy Villa on first. Here comes the 1-2 pitch. That one blocked by Constable. The count moves even.
Great block from Cole Constable to keep the runners in position and prevent a 5th run from scoring off of 3rd.
The 2-2 pitch. That one lined through the hole on the left side for a base hit. Curry will score. Heckman will hold up at 3rd. And yet another RBI single from the Tbolts pushes their lead to 5-3.
Now batting number 15, Jonathan McMath.
As the cleanup hitter, Jonathan McMath, will step up to the plate as we're going to have a mound visit. Coach Lopez coming out of the dugout once again. And it looks like we are going to have a new pitcher for the Big Train. Aiden Rittenauer trotting out of the bullpen for Bethesda. As we're going to take a quick commercial break here on Big Train Baseball Network. We will be back shortly after Rittenauer's warm-up. Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. The Tbolts have taken a 5-3 lead with 2 outs here in the top of the 4th. That one's skied out into left center field. Ranging over is Williamson, who makes the catch on the run for out number 3. So a quick relief appearance for Aiden Rittenauer. Just 1 pitch there in the top of the 4th, but not before the Tbolts score 4. They now lead 5-3. We'll be back for the bottom of the 4th shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network, where the home team finds itself down 5-3 as we're set to start the bottom of the fourth inning with Jaden Bastian, the left fielder, leading things off for the Big Train.
Bastian started this morning with a double, looking for some similar success from the plate to bring the Big Train back in the lead. And just a quick note, over in center field, it actually is Ryan Quadros. However, he is wearing Nick Keene's jersey with the number 5 on it. Slight morning mishap, but it is in fact Ryan Quadros, who typically wears the number 32, today sporting number 5.
So the count 1-1 on Bastian. Mishra still in the game for the Tbolts, as they'll foul that one off for strike 2. Here comes the 1-2 to Bastian. That one swung on and missed for strike 3. So Bastian's retired for the first out of the inning. That'll bring up the third baseman, Landon Franklin.
Now batting the third baseman, number 22, Landon Franklin.
Franklin this summer hitting .246. A homer and 12 RBIs as he'll ground that one foul for strike 1. That lone home run coming where the Big Train will be playing their game tomorrow at Regency Furniture Stadium in Waldorf, Maryland, when they make the trek to play the Southern Maryland Senators.
And be sure to tune into the Big Train Baseball Network tomorrow evening when the Big Train takes on the Southern Maryland Senators at Regency Furniture Stadium.
As Franklin grounds the 1-1 pitch off the leg of Mishra, flips it over to first, just in time for the out. What a recovery by Mishra. Off of the deflection, a glove flip to McMath for out number 2. And that'll bring up Cole Constable, as Mishra is going to be quickly checked out, making sure he's A-okay. That was a sharply hit ground ball. Looked like it hit him in the leg. But Mishra will stay in the game, as with 2 outs and no one on, Constable looking to build off of his last at-bat.
Last at-bat was a sac fly to push Jaden Bastian off of third and to home.
Batting the catcher, number 17, Cole Constable.
But as I was saying, tomorrow night, Big Train Baseball Network will be at Regency Furniture Stadium. We're going to have a camera with us tomorrow. Typically our road games have been audio only. Tomorrow we're going to bring in the visuals.
The 1-0 from Mishra. That one's lined into right center field, and that'll drop in front of Dunyan for a base hit. So Constable's off to a productive start, as we have passed noon here on the Eastern time zone. Matthew Westley stepping up to the plate with a runner on first and 2 outs.
As we mentioned, Constable's first at-bat tonight was a sac fly to push in the Big Train's second run of the now afternoon.
As he'll take the first pitch low and inside for a ball.
Now with a base hit, hoping to bring the Big Train some more success to push them past this two-score deficit they found themselves in.
As Westley lines this one right to Curry at third for out number 3. So no runs, 1 hit, 1 left on base for the Big Train. They still trail 5-3. We'll be back for the top of the 5th here on Big Train Baseball Network.
Who is out?
juices in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey baby, I love the way you groove. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey baby, I love the way you boogie down. Hey baby, I love the way you move, boogie down. The juices in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Meet me in the corner alone. 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 Boogie, boogie down, baby.
Welcome back to Shirley Povich Field here at Cabin John Regional Park, where the Big Train trail the Tbolts 5-3 as we're set to start the top of the inning with Beck Urofsky, the DH for Silver Spring Tacoma. We've also got a guest up here in the booth. It's Max Martzoff once again, ladies and gentlemen. How are you, Max?
Good, how are you guys? Hi, everyone watching.
Oh, my goodness. You only see me. There we go. Much better. Max, it's quite a humid day outside. It's probably been the most humid today as it's been all season. Are you surviving out there?
I'm wearing a sweater. What do you think I'm doing? I think it's fine out here. I've heard only complaints out on this field so far, and I'm like, guys, go live in Florida like I do, and you'll understand what humidity really is.
As Urofsky fouls that one off, that'll bring the count to 1-2. You do make a very good point. There has been some Florida-esque weather here in Maryland, not quite the level of Boca Raton, but there was a day where it was 100 here, and then it rained very hard for about 15 minutes. Did you feel right at home that day?
Oh, yeah. The only question I was asking myself is, where's the humidity when it was 100 degrees out? And I was like, I mean, yeah, it's a little dry out, but I'm used to sweating more than I am here than I am in Florida, surprisingly.
So I'm glad you felt a little bit back in almost. Would you call yourself, you would call Boca Raton South Florida?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. On the other broadcast, I had a little geographical folly. I forgot that Puerto Rico was a part of the United States as a territory, as Urofsky sees that pitch from Rittenauer over his head, bringing the count full. So I just wanted to make sure I had all my facts straight.
Yeah, folks, don't forget, we are in college. We do make mistakes sometimes.
So, Max, I did want to ask about your past couple of appearances. Earlier this week in Alexandria, you got tagged for the first time this season. I want you to take me through that at bat because that was really the first time you'd faced a little bit of adversity. Just take me through those last couple innings you were in.
It was tough for sure because most of the mistakes I was making was with 2 outs. I did start off strong by striking the first 2 kids out, and then I would say it's kind of like today, pitchers losing focus. I would say I lost a little bit of focus. When I got 2 outs, I got a little too comfortable. And Alexandria made me pay for it, and I give them credit. They're a good hitting team. They're patient. They know how to work a count. And next time I see them, I'm not going to lose focus on you. I hope you're watching this, Aces.
So, last night, completely flipping the script, dominated with a 4-run lead. What changed from the game in Alexandria earlier this week?
I didn't lose focus. I told myself attack the zone early, which I did. And I had more control of my breaking stuff, and I was very pleased to see the results after that.
As the count moves to 2-0 on the catcher Ethan Warner, as we're going to have a quick mound visit between Constable and Rittenauer.
Yeah, I kept telling myself, don't lose sight on what's the bigger goal here, and that's winning the ball game. And when I came in, I knew it was a 5-3 ball game, 2-run lead. I had to be sharp with all my stuff. And when Andrew Williamson hit that 2-run homer in the bottom of the 8th, I was like, okay, now I'm a little more comfortable, but I still need to stay laser focused out there. And I never took my foot off the gas, and it happened. We won the game.
So the mound visit concludes between Constable and Rittenauer. Urofsky on first with no outs here in the top of the 5th. Tbolts leading 5-3. As the count moves to 3-0 on Warner, with the shortstop Josh Erd waiting on deck. Now, Max, we've seen Rittenauer in a handful of relief appearances thus far this summer. What have you liked from him so far? As that one's upstairs for ball 4, Warner will take his base.
From what I've seen from Aiden, it doesn't matter how hard the ball is coming out of his hand. He is still producing outs, which has been very impressive for me to see, because it just shows that anybody at any level can do a job. I mean, granted, yeah, he's at a Division II, still a great division to play baseball in, and yeah, so what? He doesn't throw the hardest. He still gets outs. And if you look at the stats, it just shows.
First pitch from Erd, low and outside for a ball. Rittenauer playing his college ball at Shepherd University, one of the many players not just on the big train but in the Ripken League, hailing from lower division schools. But like many, have found an awful lot of success. Rittenauer looking to work out of the jam, as that one's in there for a strike.
Now, Max, you and a lot of the other members of the Big Train squad were here early to try and fix the poor field conditions. Can you talk a little bit about that elbow grease you guys had to put in to make the field ready for today?
All I got to say is that was probably the worst thing I've ever had to wake up to.
That one's popped out into right field. Under it is Diaz. He makes the catch for out number 1. Urofsky will remain at second, as Bryce Curry will step up to the plate.
But yeah, no, that was not fun, especially getting that text from Sal. Guys who threw last night need you here at 8. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. But no, I mean, the fact that the field almost looked unplayable to where it is now, I give all the credit to the guys who did come out way too early to come out and fix this field, especially Aiden Kelly, putting all of his time and effort into fixing the mound the way it is right now.
Got to say, it looks infinitely better than it did earlier this morning. We talked about it was practically soup over at home plate.
It was. Cole was like, there's no way I'm going to be able to catch behind her today.
He's doing very well, though.
Yeah,
you guys
he is.
really fixed up the field just in time.
I will say I was a little worried about him for any potential balls in the dirt, but the surface is a lot smoother than, again, it was just a few hours ago, as the count moves to 0-2 on Curry. And waiting on deck is the second baseman, Mike Heckman.
Now, Max, this is the second and final early morning game here at Shirley Povich Field. Do you like playing earlier in the morning, getting out earlier, or do you prefer the later starts?
That's actually a good question, Phoebe. I like playing early on Sundays because I'm used to it at school. I mean, around this time, this is when the game would be starting for us. But I just like having that feeling, knowing we'll be done early in the afternoon, and especially knowing that we got to go to Southern Maryland tomorrow lets us get our rest in. It's just huge.
So
Headed to Regency Furniture Stadium tomorrow. Last time you guys were there, had a shutout win. You guys
Love throwing
excited to
shutouts.
head back there?
Only because we know what we're capable of, especially at a place like that. It's a great field. It's a hidden gem, if you would say. I like playing there, minus the drive and the traffic, especially in this area. Getting there's a hassle, but playing there's enjoyable.
So the count 0-2 on Curry as he fouled the last pitch off to stay alive. The offering from Rittenauer lined into left center field. That'll drop for a base hit. Around third is Urofsky. He will score easily. And the Tbolts now leads 6-3. Courtesy of an RBI single from Bryce Curry. And that'll bring up the second baseman, Mike Heckman.
Heckman had back-to-back walks in his first 2 at-bats this afternoon. Now, the last time you faced the Tbolts at Shirley Povich Field, they put up a 7 spot in the top of the second. But you guys kept chipping away and ultimately walked out with a bottom of the 10th walk-off win. Can you talk a little bit about what the mentality was going into the game today?
The mentality was, after beating Gaithersburg last night, we knew we had some momentum rolling. We knew we had to come out firing. I mean, scored the first 3 innings. Yeah, the pitching was a little shaky in the 4th, but we know our bats are going to come through in the end, and the back end of the bullpen needs to start getting a little sharper.
As that one fouled off and actually bounced on the roof above our heads.
Max, you might have to spring into action in case baseball comes our way, although it might be blocked by our equipment here out the right side of our window here in the booth.
At first, I thought you were going to say I need to start getting hot. I was like, not a chance.
No, definitely going to enjoy your day off after closing last night.
The throw down to second, no one home. Although Warner will stay at second. So a slight communication mishap between Constable and the middle infielders Bowman and Crosland. Luckily, they didn't get burned for it on the base paths. Here comes the 2-1 from Rittenauer. That one upstairs for ball 3. Max, is that just a simple communication gaffe from catcher and middle infielder?
Yeah, no, the middle infielders definitely would have some communication sign with the catcher, being like, hey, he's getting a little too long on the secondary, and we need to throw him out.
As that one's in there for strike 2. Heckman thought it was ball 4.
Don't know who would think that would be ball 4 for, but get back in the box.
Heckman probably used to getting was walked during his first 2 at-bats. Now has to return to the batter's box to face the full count pitch. Now, Max, earlier this week we saw a lot of high-scoring affairs.
That one just outside for ball 4. So Heckman will take his base. That'll load him up for the leadoff hitter, Quincy Villa. And it looks like we are going to have another pitching change for the big train. Rittenauer's relief appearance is done. And it looks to be Jordan Capuano stepping out of the bullpen for the big train. We'll be right back shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. The new pitcher on the mound, it's actually going to be Evan Hart out of the University of Kentucky. Looking to stop the bleeding here in the top of the fifth. Bases loaded, one out for the leadoff hitter, Quincy Villa. As his first pitch gets away from Constable. But all runners will hold up. Ethan Warner there at third, deciding not to go.
Now, Evan Hart, we've only seen him pitch one time before this. It was a relief appearance in Alexandria. So in the short time you've gotten to know Evan, what have you liked about his pitching style and his mentality?
It reminds me a lot of myself. Low three-quarter arm slot. Ball is running crazy.
That one in the dirt for ball two.
But off the field, like when we're not playing, he is sneaky funny. Doesn't say much to anybody, but he just doesn't make you stop laughing. I love this kid.
As that one's in there for a strike. So basically the Andrew Williamson of the pitching staff.
Oh, yeah. That's a great analogy right there.
Andrew Williamson having a heck of a 24 hours. Had a
Couple of home runs in the last 24 hours, including one today.
Yeah.
He's now second in the Cal Ripken League for home runs with 5.
And don't forget, he wasn't here the first 2 weeks.
Exactly. He was a later addition to the Big Train squad. It's made such a huge impact from the get-go. What have you liked about playing with Andrew Williamson?
He gives it his all every game, every pitch, to be honest. He is a grinder. I can see why UCF loves playing him.
As that one's outside for ball 4. Warner will come in from third. That'll make it 7-3 Tbolts. As the right fielder, John Dunyan, will step up to the plate.
Now, as we said the last time you guys faced this team at Shirley Povich Field, they put up a 7 spot, top of the second. So you guys have been in this situation before, getting behind. What do you think is the conversation down in the dugout and in the bullpen right now?
I think it's more in the bullpen right now. Got to get ahead. Got to attack. I mean, as of late, it looks like they're falling behind quick, and it's just a simple mind adjustment. Just, hey, maybe I need to step off, take a little breather, and just go do what I normally do. And that's what's gotten all of these guys to where they are, because they know how to play baseball.
As the 1-0 pitch is in there for a strike. That throw back from Constable just shy of Hart, but luckily he's able to corral it. Here comes the 1-1. That one inside for ball 2. Again, waiting on deck is Ryan Quadros, wearing Nick Keene's jersey today. As the 2-1 swung on and missed for strike 2. There's that run you were talking about earlier. Also something that, and you've mentioned it yourself, something that Jonathan Stevens has as well on his fastball.
Oh, yeah. The only difference between Evan and Jonathan is Jonathan's ball goes up. Evan's ball goes diagonal.
As that one blocked by Constable in the dirt. So the count will move full on Dunyan.
So as we mentioned, Evan Hart, a newer addition to the Big Train squad, him alongside Luke Vaughn and Sam Mitchell and Jake Titus, who made the start today. All newer additions made their first appearances in Alexandria. What have you liked about the addition of these guys?
They definitely bring that powerhouse level baseball to this team.
That one's popped into right field. Under it is Diaz. He's got it for out number 2. And the throw to the plate is not in time. Curry scoring from third on the sac fly. That'll make it 8-3 Tbolts. As Quadros will step up to the plate with runners on the corners and 2 outs.
Yeah, like I was saying, having SEC guys, those are the kind of guys you want, because they know the level of competition they play at, and it makes everyone else want to be just like them.
The SEC this past season sending all but 2 teams to the NCAA tournament. And the last 2 standing also from the SEC in Tennessee and Texas A&M, with the Vols winning their first title in program history, as Hart and Franklin making sure that Curry didn't leave early, which he did not.
Now, we've talked about this with you in the booth before, the culture within the dugout and the bullpen and how close this team is, with new faces filtering in and some favorite faces filtering out. Has the culture changed at all?
Not really.
Runner takes off. The throw down to second from Constable, not in time. So that'll be Villa's 19th stolen base of the summer. Had 24 last summer for the Tbolts and 24 this past spring for Marymount. Already on pace to pass that number, as he might hit 20 before the end of today. As the 1-0's grounded foul.
Like you were saying, Phoebe, the culture never changes because the ultimate goal for us is to win ball games. Doesn't matter who's coming, who's going. We're going to send the best 9 guys to the plate, and we're going to send the best arms every game. So, I mean, whether someone leaves, someone comes late, it should not matter, because at the end of the day, we want to see our guys in a line at the end of the 9th inning high-fiving each other, and we move up in the standings.
So the count now 1-2. Here comes the pitch from Hart. That one outside. So it appears that a lot of Hart's off-speed pitches go from outside in. Max, your fastball goes the opposite direction, so interesting to see the dynamic there, as that one's grounded to Franklin at third. He fields it cleanly, fires it over to first for out number 3. But the Tbolts padding their lead. They're up 8-3. We'll be back for the bottom of the 5th shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network. Off, Rohan Mishra still in the game for the Tbolts. His first offering in the dirt for ball 1.
Still got Max Martzoff in the booth with us. Thanks for sticking around.
Let's go.
Thanks for having me.
So now that you guys are attacking from the plate, what do you think these guys need to do to come back from the score deficit?
Stay patient. Don't give in to anything, breaking stuff. Sit on that one heater that he's going to groove, I think, right here to Keenan Bowman.
There it is, and it's popped up into right field. Dunyan loses his hat and makes the out. So a quick at bat for Bowman. That'll bring up the center fielder, Andrew Williamson.
Now batting for the big tree, number 29, Andrew.
May I have a shout out right now? Just one quick shout out.
Yeah.
Stephen Enns, you are a huge supporter to me at school and here. I appreciate you coming to a couple of the games actually with your son, and I love the support you give me at school, and I appreciate everything you do for me and my family. So thank you, Stephen.
Max, that was so nice.
I know, I'm a good guy.
The first pitch to Williamson, ripped into right field for a base hit.
Williamson having himself an afternoon.
Mishra tried Williamson again low and inside, and for the second time today, Williamson records a hit. Not in as bombastic of a fashion as earlier in the game, but he's aboard once again. Luke Vaughn stepping up to the plate. Now, Max, we were talking last half inning. Vaughn, a later addition from Alabama, has been the starting catcher a handful of times. What do you think makes him so great behind the plate?
He knows how to work the game. He knows what pitchers like certain pitches and certain counts, and he's a great field general. He knows how to control his defense. He knows how to calm the pitcher down if he's starting to get a little shaky, and he'll let you hear it. If you're struggling, he'll go out and be like, hey, figure it out, because if you don't, you will be out of here soon.
I think we noticed, even just from his very first appearance behind the plate in Alexandria, he's very vocal from behind the plate. Anytime he catches a ball up high, he gives words of encouragement to the pitchers. What kind of difference does that make?
Having a catcher that supports you probably more than you would support yourself is huge, because having a catcher like that makes you want to go out and attack every hitter you face, because if he's going to keep encouraging you no matter what you're doing, it makes you want to realize, like, okay, I have the support, now I got to do my job.
And Vaughn's going to walk on 4 pitches. That'll put runners on first and second with 1 out for Chris Diaz. Now, Max, something I was noticing in that Alexandria game, if there were, for example, 2-strike pitches, if he wanted a pitch, whether it was an off-speed or a fastball just outside, the pitcher hit that location but the batter didn't go, Luke would make sure to tell the pitcher that that was exactly what he wanted them to do.
Because at the end of the day, no matter what is going to be called, our job is to locate the pitch. And when you do that, it makes the catcher realize, okay, he knows where he's going to put this pitch.
Diaz showing bunt, pulls back, but that first pitch from Mishra in for a strike.
Diaz has also been having himself quite the morning. Started off with a base hit that pushed a runner off of third and then followed that up with a triple. You've gotten to see Diaz all summer long. What can you say about how he's grown as a player just throughout this past month?
He's definitely getting the feel of college baseball. I mean, I don't know if he played at Tulane this year, but I definitely think wherever he is going to be going next year, it is definitely going to help him when he gets there in the fall.
So Diaz in a 1-1 count again, runners on first and second with 1 out. The big train trailing by 5 in the bottom of the 5th. That one's hit high and deep into right field. Back goes Dunyan at the wall. He makes the catch. Tagging up is Williamson. He'll make it to third easily. So with runners on the corners and 2 outs, that'll bring up the second baseman, Jordan Crosland. Now, speaking of growth, he's been on a tear as of late,
Yes,
both at the plate and in the field. What have you liked from him, especially recently?
I love the positive energy he brings. I've never seen a player like Jordan Crosland get mad. He's never been mad once. And it shocks me because baseball usually is a game of failure and it creates anger. He's always got a smile on his face, which makes me believe, hey, there are people who actually are positive about this game still.
And he himself has been through some up and downs this season, especially in the field. A bit of a rocky start in the middle infield, but has bounced back in a huge way defensively. Has become an ultra-reliable starter at second.
But as you were saying, Crosland, a very joyful presence on the team. We talked a little bit about this earlier. Craig Lopez. What a guy. You've gotten to play booth.
Gugga mugga, man.
That was pretty good.
I've
quick.
Pretty good.
been around Lopes long enough to know the exact tone of his voice.
What have you liked about working with Coach Lopez?
With Coach Lopez, man, it's so enjoyable coming here, having a pitching coach support us. He has our backs. What can you not say about Coach Craig Lopez?
That one's lined to Curry, fielded, fired, and on to first for out number 3. I don't think you can say, as Jordan Capuano before the game said, I don't think he's got a mean bone in his body.
No, he doesn't.
So the Big Train scoreless once again. They leave a couple on base. Max, thank you again for joining us in the booth. It's a pleasure as always.
Thanks for having me, guys. I love coming up here.
We'll be back with the top of the 6th shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network.
4-8-0.
Move so fast. Here's hoping this night will last. Just let go. We're spinning with our eyes closed. Holding on and on and on and on. Hoping I can get to know you better. Living in sweet suburbia. Some fun is all we want. Two kids come alive in a night rush. I'll be the girl next door. You be my summer crush. Yeah, I think you should come and pick me up. 'Cause nothing feels as good as summer. Two kids come alive in a night rush. I'll be the girl next door. You be my summer crush. Yeah, I think you should come and pick me up. 'Cause nothing feels as good as summer.
Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. Bethesda still trailing 8-3 as we're set to start the top of the 6th. Now we've got a defensive substitution for the Big Train, and not just any defensive substitution. This is an awfully unique one, as Jonathan McMath takes the first pitch outside for a ball. Luke Vaughn, who started this game in the designated hitter spot, hitting third in the lineup, has replaced Cole Constable at catcher. And with that, the Big Train have lost the designated hitter spot. So expect, for the rest of the game, a handful of new batters in the lineup for the Big Train, as the count will move to 1-2.
Now, as Max Martzoff said while he was joining us in the booth, Luke Vaughn is such a great presence to have behind the dish with his consistent words of encouragement, and he said he knows exactly what kind of pitches the pitcher is going to want to throw at certain counts. Definitely a strong presence and a great addition to the Big Train squad.
As the 1-2 is fouled.
But as if this game couldn't get any funkier, started off with some last-minute fielding operations to make the field playable before the 11 a.m. start.
McMath with a high fly ball in a deep right center field. Ranging back is Diaz, just shy of the warning track, and he'll make the catch for out number 1. So that'll bring up the designated hitter for the Tbolts, Beck Yurovsky. Was hit by a pitch in his last at-bat. Eventually came around to score.
Now the Tbolts have gone the previous 3 innings with at least 1 run. A 4 spot in the top of the 4th brought them the lead. They maintained it and patted it further in the top of the 5th with a 3 spot. Evan Hart looking to shut him down.
That one hit high into right center field. Williamson calling off Diaz, and he'll make the catch for out number 2. So that'll bring up the catcher, Ethan Warner.
Warner started off this afternoon with a base hit, had back-to-back walks following his first at-bat.
The first offering from Evan Hart in there for a strike. Here comes the 0-1. That one getting away from Hart as the count moves even at 1-1. Again, as Max Martzoff said, very similar style pitcher to him, a 3/4 release. As that one jams Warner, and Crosland's got it for out number 3. So for the first time since the top of the 2nd inning, the Tbolts are held scoreless. Big Train still down 8-3. We'll be back for the bottom of the 6th shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network.
The juice is in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey, hey baby, I love the way you groove. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey, hey baby, I
Welcome back to Shirley Povich Field here at Cabin John Regional Park. The Big Train still trail the Tbolts 8-3 as we've got a new pitcher on the bump for the Tbolts. It's Montgomery County's own Ryan Mariani. Mariani hailing from Rockville. Went to high school at Wooten. As the 1-0 to Jaden Bastian's outside for ball 2.
Bastian had a strong start to the morning with a double. Was pushed past home on a sac fly from Cole Constable to score the team's second run.
Mariani currently at Marymount University, a transfer from Montgomery College. As the 3-0 to Bastian's in there for a strike. Mariani went 5-1 last season, putting up a 3.42 ERA in 55 1/3 innings pitched to go along with 36 strikeouts. As Bastian fouls the 3-1 off over us here in the booth, the count will move full. Landon Franklin on deck. Here comes the 3-2. That one low and outside for ball 4. So Bastian takes a walk. The leadoff hitter aboard for the Big Train. That'll bring up Landon Franklin. And it looks like for now, on deck is Jake Titus.
I believe that might be Evan Hart sporting number 34. The new pitcher for the Big Train looks to be on deck warming up. Gonna step in for Cole Constable in the lineup.
The count 0-1 on Franklin.
So Bastian getting the Big Train off to a good start. They're looking to come back from a 5-run deficit. Now we've seen them put up a lot of big numbers in the later innings, specifically when they've had to face the Tbolts. As we mentioned last time, both teams were here at Shirley Povich Field. It wasn't until the bottom of the 10th inning, Big Train scoring the walk-off run to win the game. It's been a very competitive series between these two teams. All three so far have ended in favor of the Big Train.
The 1-1 to Franklin, that one's low for ball 2. And again, it will be Evan Hart following Franklin, as we're going to see a pitcher hit for the first time this summer. Here comes the 2-1. That one low for ball 3. Now to clarify, it'll be the first, at least pitcher only, we have seen hit this summer. We've seen a couple of guys pitch and hit on the semi-regular as Franklin pops this one into shallow center field. Ranging over is Heckman, who makes the catch for out number 1. So it will be Evan Hart stepping up to the plate.
Again, Evan Hart, a fairly new face around the Big Train bullpen and dugout. Made his first appearance relieving from the mound on Sunday in Alexandria. Going to take to the plate for the first time this summer.
As Hart will take the first pitch from Mariani for a strike. The 0-1. That one's flied out to center field. Under it is Quadros for out number 2. But a solid piece of hitting from Hart, making good contact on that pitch. And that'll bring up Matthew Westlake with 2 outs. Bastion still at first.
And again, it's been a while since we've seen Matthew Wesley in the starting lineup, but we've seen him make a couple of pinch hitting appearances as of late.
As he'll take the first pitch for a strike.
Looking to get on base for the first time this afternoon.
The 1-0 hits Westley in the shoulder. So he'll take his base with 2 outs. That'll bring the top of the lineup back up in Kanan Bowman.
So just as I was saying that, Matthew Wesley getting on base for the first time this afternoon. A hit by pitch that pushes Bastion over to second, putting the Big Train's 4th run in scoring position.
So a big opportunity for Bowman with 2 outs. The Big Train looking to put on their rally caps once again. Down 5 here in the bottom of the 6th. As the first pitch from Mariani's outside for a ball.
Keenan Bowman, a solid bat to do so. Earlier this week at the Olney Boys and Girls Club, Bowman made a pinch hitting appearance, knocked in a home run to bring the game within just 1 run.
The 1-0 offering swung on and missed for strike 1. That's the part of the plate where Bowman's experienced a lot of trouble. The upper half of the zone, especially more towards the inside part. So the count even at 1-1. Here comes the pitch. Off speed outside for ball 2. Here comes the 2-1. That one grounded foul. The count even once again. Again, the Big Train sitting at 12-11 on the season. The Tbolts last in the North Division at 8-14. A big win last night over the Crop Dusters. Bastion sent back to second. A stellar pickoff attempt there from Mariani and Heckman. But now he'll turn his attention back to Bowman. Here comes the 2-2. That one gets by Warner. So Bastion and Westley will advance into scoring position. The count now full on Bowman with Andrew Williamson waiting on deck. Boy, would this be a huge out if Mariani's able to get it. And on the other side, a potential momentum swing for the Big Train.
Andrew Williamson has certainly found his groove. Put in a home run over the right field fence, followed it up with a base hit.
So a money pitch here for both Mariani and Bowman. Here it comes. There's a fly ball into left field. Under it is Villa, and he makes the catch for out number 3. So the Big Train strand a pair in scoring position. They remain behind 8-3. We'll be back with the top of the 7th shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network.
The juice is in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride the boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride the boogie train, ride the boogie train, ride the boogie train till the sun comes up. Meet me in the corner, no. 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 Boogie down, mix up. Boogie down, fix up. The juice is in the mix, it'll fix you up. I'm gonna ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Till the sun comes up. Ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train, ride that boogie train till the sun comes up. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey baby, I love the way you groove. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Say hey baby, I love the way you boogie down. Hey baby, I love the way you move. Boogie down.
Welcome back to Shirley Povich Field here at Cabin John Regional Park. The Big Train still trail 8-3. We're set to start the top of the 7th with the bottom of the order for the Tbolts. Josh Erd leading things off. Evan Hart still on the mound for the Big Train.
As we mentioned during the previous inning, a swap behind the plate. Luke Vaughn coming in to relieve Cole Constable from behind the dish. And with that, the pitcher on the mound, Evan Hart, had to make a pinch hitting appearance.
The 1-1 in the dirt for ball 2. I remember 3 summers ago there was a pitcher on the Big Train by the name of Everett Catlett. Was like Evan Hart, a skyscraper, a very tall man. And one game they were in South County. They were beating the Braves by a good bit as that one's hit out in the left field. Bastion is under it. He'll make the catch for out number 1. Bryce Curry stepping up to the plate. But they were beating the Braves by a lot. And manager Sal Colangelo let Catlett, who was a pitcher only, have an at-bat. And all I will say is that he looked like a giraffe on roller skates.
It's funny that you mentioned that because I was just thinking back to the game in Alexandria this Sunday. All the newer additions that made their appearances that day, they're all fairly tall.
That one's grounded to short, fielded by Bowman, who fires it over to Westley for out number 2. So Curry's quickly retired. That'll bring up the second baseman, Mike Heckman.
Evan Hart, who's on the mound, towering. Luke Vaughn behind the dish, also towering. Jake Titus, who made the start today, another very tall man. I think they brought up the average height for the Big Train by at least 5 inches.
The first pitch to Heckman in there for a strike. Sam Mitchell from Alabama as well.
Another very tall person.
As the 0-1 in there for a strike. So Hart trying to make quick work of the Tbolts here in the top of the 7th. The 0-2 just high for a ball. The 1-2. That one just low for a ball. So Hart really working the borderline of the strike zone here. Let's see if he continues with that as the count is now even on Heckman. As he'll swing and miss for strike 3. So Hart retires the Tbolts in order. The Big Train looking for a late inning comeback once again, down by 5. We're going to stretch here at Shirley Povich Field. We'll be back for the bottom of the 7th here on Big Train Baseball Network.
Wait for me. Keep watching you when you leave. Something new. Keep hoping you feel this too. Holding on and on and on and on. Hoping I can get to know you better. Living in sweet suburbia. Some fun is all we want. Two kids come alive in a night rush. I'll be the girl next door. You be my summer crush. Yeah, I think you should come and pick me up. 'Cause nothing feels as good.
Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. Bethesda still trailing 8-3, as it's going to be 2-3-4, leading off the bottom of the 7th with Andrew Williamson starting things off. Going to try to lay down a bunt, but miss. And the count moves to 0-1. Big Train trying to manufacture base runners any way they can. As the count moves to 1-1, that off speed from Mariani outside.
And the Big Train haven't scored since the bottom of the 3rd inning, but in the top of the 7th and the 6th.
There's a fly ball into shallow right field. Closing in on it is Dunyan, who's got it for out number 1.
As I was saying, held the Tbolts scoreless for the first time since the top of the 5th. Have now held them scoreless for 2 half innings consecutively. So with the pitching and the defense making a huge comeback, the offense looking to do the same here. Again, the catcher started off the morning as the designated hitter, Luke Vaughn, at the plate.
As the first pitch to Vaughn's in there for a strike. Definitely curious to see who subs in at that 8 spot the next time that part of the lineup comes around. And hopefully for the Big Train, the deficit is not as large.
In the bottom of the 6th inning, we saw the pitcher, Evan Hart, step in to pinch hit for Cole Constable. But as you said, could see some changes with the pinch hitter when we come back to the 8th hitter later in the afternoon.
The count now 2-2 on Vaughn. A nice job by Mariani of sneaking an off-speed pitch into the inside corner. Here comes the 2-2. That one fouled back. Another 2-2. That one in the dirt for ball 3. And waiting on deck is Chris Diaz, who's, as you said, Phoebe, had a nice morning transitioning into the afternoon as we're coming up on 1:30 Eastern. It looks like Vaughn was hit there on the full count offering, so he'll take his base with 1 out. Diaz stepping up to the plate.
Now
As we're saying, Diaz started off his morning with a base hit, followed that up with a triple. Looking for some similar success at the plate here in this at-bat and maybe push in the Big Train's 4th run.
Diaz has also attacked very early in the count so far. Let's see if he does it again here. He'll let the first pitch go for a strike. As I can see in the Tbolts dugout, a few of them have treated themselves to some Kona ice. Good call on a very hot and humid day as temperatures have crossed the 90s now. Here comes the 1-1. That off speed low for ball 2. The 2-1 fouled back out of play. So Mariani evening the count. Waiting on deck is the second baseman Crosland. The 2-2. Low and outside. The count moving full on Diaz. Crosland has yet to reach base today.
But as you mentioned earlier when we had Max Martzoff in the booth, has been on a tear as of late. Looking to change his success around when he takes to the plate.
Diaz with a high fly ball into center field. Back goes Quadros at the warning track. Will make the catch for out number 2. Vaughn will retreat back to first. And that'll bring up Crosland with 2 outs and a runner on first. Diaz seeing the ball extremely well today. That one gets away from Warner. Vaughn thought for a half second about going to third, but will stop at second. Warner unsuccessfully trying to backhand that. That actually bounced off of his face mask. So a double L there for Warner behind the backstop. And now potential run number 4 in scoring position for the Big Train. The 1-0 to Crosland. That one outside for ball 2.
And the Big Train still sitting behind by 5 runs. Looking to get some momentum going, as we've seen throughout the summer. Once the bats get hot, they tend to stay hot. We've seen a lot of late inning scoring spurts.
There's a pop-up into shallow left field. And Erd's got it for out number 3. So the Big Train held scoreless once again. Still looking for that first run since Williamson's solo shot in the bottom of the 3rd. The Tbolts will look to add on to their 8-3 lead in the top of the 8th when we come back here on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Shirley Povich Field at Cabin John Regional Park, where the Tbolts remain ahead 8-3 as we're set to start the top of the 8th inning with the top of the Tbolts lineup. Quincy Villa leading things off for Silver Spring Tacoma.
Saw some defensive changes within the infield. Landon Franklin, who started the morning off at third base, has been bumped over to shortstop. And it's now Jack Guerrero coming in at third base.
So the count 0-1 on Villa. The offering from Hart. That one's grounded to third, fielded by Guerrero. And on to first. Wesley secured it and kept his toes on the bag for out number 1. So Guerrero getting tested early, but passing with flying colors, as that'll bring up John Dunyan, the right fielder.
I was going to say, we have typically seen Jack Guerrero over at first base, now hopping over to the opposite corner, but doing swimmingly. As you said, passed his first test with flying colors.
As the count moves to 2-0 on Dunyan. He's been awfully busy in right field tonight.
Dunyan has yet to reach base this morning and now into afternoon.
As the 2-0 from Hart in there for a strike. So Hart, an extended relief appearance, has held the Tbolts scoreless the past couple of innings. As the count now even. Waiting on deck is Nick Keene cosplayer Ryan Quadros.
Again, Ryan Quadros, typically number 32, had to sport Nick Keene's number 5 jersey this morning.
The full count offering from Hart. That one hit high and deep into left field. Back goes Bastion at the wall. He cannot get it. It bounces off the wall. Bastion takes a tumble onto the gravel. Williamson to Franklin. Sliding into third is Dunyan with a triple.
As we said, Dunyan had failed to reach first base this morning and afternoon. What a way to come back. A triple to put the Tbolts' 9th run in scoring position.
So with potential run number 9 on third, Ryan Quadros will step up to the plate.
Quadros has recorded a base hit in one of his 4 at-bats so far this morning and afternoon.
Hart and Crosland there seeing if they could get a unexpected out, but to no avail. So Dunyan will remain at third. The first pitch to Quadros in there for a strike. Here comes the 0-1. That one grounded to short, backhanded by Franklin, fires it over to first. In time for the out.
A huge out for the Big Train fielding squad. Once again, Landon Franklin started off this morning at third base, has been bumped up to shortstop.
It looked like for a second that Jack Guerrero might steal that one Davin Whitaker style. But Franklin able to make the backhand stop. And more importantly, the fire over to first for out number 2 as the first pitch to Jonathan McMath is fouled off. The 0-1. That one swung on and missed for strike 2. That slider zipping away from McMath. As the 0-2 swung on and missed for strike 3. So Hart keeps the Tbolts scoreless for the 3rd consecutive half inning. The Big Train still looking for some offense, down 8-3. We'll be back for the bottom of the 8th shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. Bethesda still trailing 8-3, as it'll be 6, 7, 8 due up for Bethesda. Jaden Bastion leading things off, facing a new pitcher in Matthew Walters, playing his college ball at Cornell, hailing from Granbury, Texas, about an hour and change outside of Dallas. As his first pitch to Bastion, inside for a ball. And he'll take that one upstairs for a ball as well.
Bastion again kicked his morning off strong with a double that brought in the Big Train's 2nd run of the morning. Was walked during his previous at-bat.
Waiting on deck is Landon Franklin, as Bastion will take ball 4.
His 2nd consecutive walk of the afternoon.
And that'll bring up Landon Franklin. Waiting on deck in that 8 spot is a pinch hitter, Josh Skoronsky. So a whole lot of Kentucky today for the Big Train. Skoronsky taking Evan Hart's place in the lineup. So the Big Train will have a new pitcher to start the top of the 9th.
Skoronsky was a part of the starting lineup last night, recorded a pair of base hits.
That one over the glove of Warner. Bastion will take 2nd easily.
Was in the starting lineup the past 3 games and has recorded at least 1 base hit in all 3.
So the count 2-0 on Landon Franklin. As that one paints the outside corner, Walters trying to battle back. The 2-1 in the dirt. So the Big Train looking to string together consecutive base runners.
Again, the Big Train has been held scoreless since the bottom of the 3rd.
As Walters brings the count full.
the previous couple of innings, we've seen the Big Train get the fourth potential run in scoring position.
There's a high fly ball in a deep left field. Back goes Villa at the warning track. He can't make the catch. That ball off the wall and skipping over the fence for a ground rule double. So that'll bring in Bastion from second. An RBI double from Franklin cuts the Tbolts lead to 4.
As I was saying in the previous couple of innings, we've seen the potential fourth run in scoring position and then unfortunately left on the base pads. But this time, Landon Franklin gets it done. A double brings Bastion to home plate for the fourth run. Big Train have cut the Tbolts lead down to 4.
And so that'll bring up Skoronsky, who we've seen start in right field over the past handful of games.
We also saw him make an appearance as designated hitter earlier this week.
Skoronsky this season hitting .293 with a homer and 12 RBIs. As he'll take the first pitch inside for a ball. The 1-0 high and outside for a ball. And waiting on deck is the first baseman, Matthew Westley, as we're going to have a mound visit here with Walters. Now again, the Big Train sitting at 12-11, the Tbolts 8-14. Both teams coming off of wins yesterday. The Big Train would love to carry some momentum on the road with them, as they'll be away from Shirley Povich for the next 2 games. Again, they travel to Waldorf tomorrow to take on the Senators. And then the following day will make their first trip to South County to take on the Braves. After that, they'll have a couple of days off before returning home to face the Grays on Friday. As Skoronsky takes that one for a strike. That'll be part of a 3-game weekend homestand. And the other notable event in the near future, July 9th, is going to be the Ripken League All-Star Game, as there's a high fly ball from Skoronsky. Under it is Dunyan. He'll make the catch for out number 1. Franklin will stay at second. A good choice by him, as he would have likely been gunned down by Dunyan had he choose to go. And so that'll bring up Matt Westley with 1 out, a runner still in scoring position.
Wesley was hit by the pitch during his previous at-bat to reach base for the first time this afternoon.
He'll take the first pitch low for a ball. Again, Westley has struggled at the plate so far this season, again batting just .190 entering today, although he did reach base last time with a hit by pitch. The 1-1 blocked by Warner in the dirt. Count now 2-1. That one also in the dirt for ball 3. So Walters in a little bit of trouble with the top of the lineup. Due up, Jack Guerrero waiting on deck, followed by Williamson and then Vaughn, as Westley lines that one right to Heckman at second for out number 2. That's happened a couple of times this game where a Big Train batter makes really good contact, only for them to hit it right to a Tbolt. And that'll bring up Jack Guerrero with Landon Franklin still on second. 2 outs here in the bottom of the 8th. Big Train trailing 8-4. As Guerrero will take the first pitch for a strike. That one inside nearly hit Guerrero. So the count even at 1-1. That one low and inside. But Walter's not a stranger to battling back in the count. Let's see if he can do that again here. Would be extremely timely, especially with the dangerous part of Big Train's lineup potentially awaiting as the count moves to 3-1. That one jamming Guerrero and caught by Erd. Ranging over into the right half of the infield to make out number 3.
So the Big Train had been held scoreless since the bottom of the third, now biting back, tacking on another one.
We'll be back for the top of the 9th inning shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. Bethesda getting one back in the bottom of the 8th, but they still trail 8-4 as there's a new pitcher on the hill for the Big Train. It's Kevin Scully, whose first pitch to Beck Urofsky's in there for a strike.
Evan Hart made an extended relief appearance, held the Tbolts scoreless for the previous 3 innings. Scully looking to tack on to that.
Here comes the 0-2 to Urofsky. That one high for a ball. Scully really turns to that off speed in the middle of counts to set up potential 2-strike pitches. Now the count even on Urofsky at 2-2 with the catcher Ethan Warner waiting on deck. As the 2-2 pitch is inside for ball 3. The full count offering to Urofsky. That one's lined up the middle. Crosland cannot make the catch. So Urofsky's aboard with a leadoff single. That one just out of the reach of Crosland. And that'll bring up Ethan Warner.
Ethan Warner been having a pretty successful night from the plate for the Tbolts. Started off his morning with a base hit, followed that up with back-to-back walks.
Warner takes the first pitch high for a ball. As we're going to get a pinch runner for Urofsky, who looks absolutely thrilled to be subbed out of the game.
It's a hot and humid day to be running around the base path.
Also of note, as the last half inning ended, both teams were issued warnings by the umpires. A little wordplay between both teams as the count moves to 2-0 on Ethan Warner. As there's a swing and a miss for strike one. Runner goes. There's a swing and a miss by Warner. The throw down to second is in time for the out. So Luke Vaughn guns another one down at second. A fantastic throw, a fantastic catch and tag as well from Jordan Crosland. So now Scully just a strike away from 2 outs. Here comes the 2-2. That off speed, low and outside for a ball. And that pinch runner was Gabe Ruiz from UMBC. Subbing in for Urofsky, but getting tagged out at second as Warner will take ball 4.
So Warner picking up his 3rd walk of the afternoon.
So that'll bring up the shortstop, Josh Erd. 1 out here in the top of the 9th. The Tbolts still leading 8-4. As there's a swing and a miss for strike one. Warner will stay at first despite the ball getting away from Vaughn momentarily. The 0-1 off speed is inside for a ball. Here comes the 1-1. That one low for ball 2. There's a fly ball in the left field, but that will drop foul. So a break for the big train as the count moves even at 2-2. That off speed popped into shallow left center field. Ranging in is Bastion for out number 2. So that'll retire Josh Erd, bringing up the third baseman Bryce Curry. Now, the last time he was here early in the game, got the scoring started off with a base clearing extra base hit. The first pitch to Curry, grounded over the glove of Scully, fielded by Crosland, flips it over to Franklin for out number 3. So Crosland, a smooth operator at second base. The Big Train keep this this deficit at 4. Put on your rally caps, folks. Big Train hoping for another 9th inning comeback. We'll be back with the bottom half of the 9th shortly here on Big Train Baseball Network. Welcome back to Big Train Baseball Network. It's the last chance for Bethesda to avoid sinking back to 500. It's going to be 2-3-4 due up for the Big Train, facing a new pitcher in Vance Bonnier. Bethesda, Maryland's finest, hailing from Walter Johnson High School, will be playing his college ball at the University of Massachusetts Amherst, as his first pitch to Andrew Williamson is inside for a ball.
Now Williamson got a home run earlier this afternoon, his second in just 24 hours. Looking for some similar success at the plate to kick into motion a Big Train comeback.
Williamson pops this one up into shallow center field. Under it is Quadros, who makes the catch for out number 1. So a big out there from Bonnier. And that'll bring up Luke Vaughn.
Now Vaughn, in his previous at-bat, was hit by the pitch. Before that was walked out to first. Started this morning in the role of designated hitter, was switched over to the catcher role, and has been doing splendidly from behind the dish. Looking to translate that success to the plate.
As he'll get ahead in the count 2-0 with the hot bat of Chris Diaz waiting on deck. Vaughn fouls that one off. The count moves to 2-1.
On deck, as you said, Christopher Diaz had himself quite the morning. Kicked things off with a base hit, followed it up with a triple. Sent it into the far corner of the left field.
As Vaughn holds up, moving the count to 3-1. There's a high pop fly into shallow right field. And it'll be Heckman making the catch for out number 2. So the Big Train down to their last out. It'll be Chris Diaz looking to keep this game alive. As he'll check his swing on the first pitch, which was in there for a strike. There's a fly ball into left field. Over is Villa, and that'll drop foul out of play. So the Big Train down to their last strike. Jordan Crosland on deck, hoping to see the plate once again. Count 0-2 on Diaz. 2 outs, bottom of the 9th. Here comes the pitch. That one in there for strike 3. And that'll do it here from Shirley Povich Field. The Silver Spring Tacoma Thunderbolts, a huge 8-4 victory over the Big Train. Their second in a row as they try and claw back from the cellar of the North Division. But the Tbolts responding from an early flurry from the Big Train offense. 7 runs in the 4th and 5th innings respectively, paving the way for an 8-4 victory. They now move to 9-14. The Big Train dropped to 500 at 12-12. Phoebe, there were a lot of highs and lows amidst this humid day here in Bethesda. I mean, what do you think? The Tbolts did exceptionally well to allow them to walk away with an afternoon victory here at Shirley Povich Field.
You know, they really came alive at just the right time. Those runs in the 4th and 5th inning carried them through to a victory in the end. Those 7 runs, you know, once the bats got hot, they stayed hot. We saw the Big Train strike first, but they were only getting 1 run on in the first 3 innings, and then the bats cooled off significantly. The Tbolts, on the other hand, they got hot, and they got hot at the right time, and it carried them through to the very end, even though they were held scoreless after top of the 5th inning.
So Vance Bonnier, the Bethesda product, shutting the door on the Big Train, who will look to resurrect themselves in Waldorf tomorrow when they travel to face the Southern Maryland Senators at Regency Furniture Stadium. A shutout victory the last time they went there, hoping for similar success as the playoff picture starts to come into form, as we're going to turn the calendar to July tomorrow. It's crazy that we're already here, but time flies when you're having fun. And we have been having a lot of fun here in the booth, whether we're here at Shirley Povich Field or elsewhere in the Ripken League. For our executive producer and general manager, Harrison Myers, who stepped in for both Jordan Parham and Lindsey Morin today, we hope to see them both back soon. For my broadcast partner, Phoebe Winters, I'm Quentin Corpuel. Again, a happy birthday to Homer, the Big Train mascot. I'll look for a late birthday present tomorrow. The Big Train will against the Senators. I'm Quentin Corpuel saying so long from Shirley Povich Field. Have a great rest of your Sunday.